Welcome again, everyone. My name is Serena Jack, if you weren't online a little earlier. I'm Vice President of the Mark One Real Estate Wealth Academy, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you the founder of the Wealth Academy, Mark Prather. Say hello, Mark.
Hello.
The purpose of the Wealth Academy is to address the crisis of financial security and retirement in America today. Mark started in the real estate industry at the age of 18 in 1977. And at age 22, he started his first company, Mark One Mortgage. Over the years, he built his mortgage company up to 16 locations and employed hundreds of salespeople. In April of 2004, Mark did 13 interviews warning consumers of the impending foreclosure disaster in real estate. He accurately warned and predicted in the next 2 or 3 years, we will see massive foreclosures. Mark's new company, the Mark One Real Estate Wealth Academy, is the culmination of his 40-year career. And tonight, he's going to be introducing you to some of the most sophisticated real estate wealth building strategies ever taught. These concepts are radically altering the lives of people from all walks of life. Mark is also a published author. Why the Rich Stay Rich and the Poor Stay Poor is a comprehensive guide to building wealth, starting with belief systems. So I'm going to turn this over to Mark and let him get started.
All right. Thank you, Serena. There we go. All right. All right. The 401k and IRA are failing the majority of Americans. Let me give you a little history about the 401k and IRA. If you go back to World War II, after the war, all the soldiers came back and got employed, and we had this rapid economic growth and kind of rebuilding the country and getting away from building tanks and jeeps to cars and so on. And as corporate America grew, there was all these gigantic, more industrial and manufacturing type companies, and they created pension plans. And so what's great about a pension, you get a job and you plug into a disciplined system where the company contributes money, the employee contributes. It's what I call it's an autopilot program of building wealth and building secure retirement income that will never run out. Well, in the early 70s, we started to move away from that and moving toward the beginning of the global economy that we're in today. And private sector companies, one of the first things they started to do to compete globally was eliminate private sector pensions. And today there's virtually no private sector pensions. The only people getting pensions are the ones that work for the government, whether it's county, state, or federal. So in the late 70s, there was a program that was created, which is the 401k, which was actually created by senior level executives, exclusively for senior level executives. And when they went to the government to get this approved, the government really being the IRS, they said, we're going to approve the plan, but you got to make it open to everyone. And so the 401k and the subsequent IRA was the path, and what has been sold to the American public for now, over 40 years, some 45 years, as the path to financial security and retirement. And there's this belief there is no other way. And since that time, the number of Americans, and particularly the middle class down, which is really the 80 percentile down, the number of people that have been able to retire has diminished decade after decade after decade. And here are the key reasons. Is Americans struggle to save money. And if you live in Southern California, it's especially hard to save money because the cost of living is so dramatically higher here than it is other parts of the country. You can see 77% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 80%, if they were to retire, would run out of money within 5 years. And I can tell you, we have proprietary calculators that we've created where we can analyze clients, where they are financially based on where they're able to save and the inflation rate and so on. And I can tell you, it's at least 80% are going to run out of money in less than 5 years. So as I said, bottom line is this belief that the 401k or IRA and saving money is a path to retirement is for over 80% of the people is just simply not true. Now, most people believe there's no solution to this, but there is. Here are the 3 questions that have driven my financial life. Now, Serena mentioned I got in the real estate industry at 18. I did well as a salesman. I started my own company at 22. By 25, I was making very good money. And when I started talking to people about what do I do with this money, and I started exploring, saying, okay, what's the fastest? So here's the first key question. What is the fastest way to grow wealth? And what is the safest? Fast without safe is a train wreck. Number 2 is there a formula to wealth that I can follow? In other words, if you're working with a financial planner or an investment banker that's managing your money, where's the formula in that? It's like basically giving your money, and then you got to hope like heck they know what the heck they're doing with it, and it will grow. And number 3 is what is possible for my life. Those are the 3 questions that I had, and I think they're the important questions, and I'm going to share with you the answers to these questions as we go through this tonight. Here's the wealth crisis in America today. This report you're looking at is from Goldman Sachs. Now, the dark blue represents 1989. The light blue is 2016. So this is basically a 30-year snapshot of what's happened with wealth growth in this country. If we go to the bottom right, okay, the far right on the bottom where it says top 0.1%, the top 1/10 of 1%, you can see their wealth growth in the light blue has grown from about 12, 13% to about 17, 18%. So significant growth in that top 1/10. In the next 9/10, not 9%, but 9/10, you can see the growth was from about 26, 27% to about 33%. So the top 1% control or own about half the wealth, a little over 50% of the wealth. The next 9%, you see a slight contraction. But if we add those 3 categories, the top 10% of the wealthiest people in this country own over 90% of the wealth. I mean, that's pretty staggering. But here's the really ugly part, is look at the middle class, the 50 to 90 percentile. Look at the dramatic contraction in wealth. The middle class has contracted from about 17% of the wealth to about 7% over this past 30 years. Then you can see the bottom 50% basically have no money. This is a major problem in this country, and we see, a lot of the political divide, and this has a lot to do with it. But most people believe there's no solution to this problem, and that simply isn't true. And I'm going to show you the solution to this problem. But the reason they believe there's no solution is because they believe that saving money in their 401k or IRA is the only path to financial security and building wealth. What does it mean to be rich? Now, here's why I asked this question. Because when I was young, this is what I thought being rich was a fancy car and a big house. Most people look at it and they believe if they have a big house, they got a big 401k, that's what being rich is. And here's my point, is see, we move in the direction in which we focus. If we are focused on having a fancy car, a big house, and a big 401k, we're never going to get there. See, here's the key to being rich. Rich means having a lot of non-employment income. Over the 40 plus years I've been in the real estate and mortgage industry, I've talked to probably thousands of clients. And when I ask them, what is your employment income? They all know. But if I ask them, what is your non-employment income? Meaning, do you have alternative income like Social Security, like a pension, or investment income? Most don't know what I'm talking about. And most have little or no non-employment income. We want to create as much non-employment income as possible so that we can replace our employment income. Now, where my journey began is I was born in Los Angeles, grew up in Compton. My parents are 18 years older. Neither one, well, my father didn't get to high school. My mother dropped out in high school. Had a ton of aunts and uncles on each side, 28 to be exact, and not one had a high school diploma. My point is this, is when I started my journey, I knew nothing and I had nothing. And in my journey, I've learned some powerful and profound things I'm going to share with you tonight. But my biggest challenge in this process is getting people to believe in themselves and what is possible in their life. I've learned the path. I'm going to show you this path because what's possible is amazing if you know what you're doing. See, the false belief about saving money is your only path to retirement and wealth. If we were to ask 1,000 people, can you be financially secure and build wealth and retire without saving money? What do you think the answer would be to that question? I'm telling you, 99% of the people would say absolutely not. And that's wrong. That is not accurate, and I'll prove that to you here in a moment. Our belief systems are the foundation to everything. The old false belief, and we've all heard this, get a good education, because if you get a good education, you get a good job. And if you get a good job, then you can set up a retirement account and you can save money and you'll be financially secure and you'll be able to retire. But how many people do you know that have followed that formula and failed? And I especially feel for the young people that have gone to college, my kids' age, that have gone to college, come out of college, and owe $250,000, $300,000 in student debt, and now are getting jobs that they're never going to be able to pay this off and forget about saving money. And it's all, again, because of what they believe. See, retirement's about two numbers. How much money's coming in each month and how much money is going out. This is like your budget. We have to just have a plan. We have to analyze this. It's not as complicated as people think it is. So we start with this we need to have a plan to address how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. And here's the point. Retirement should not be about how long can I live on my life savings. What percentage of the people that you know is this their whole game plan? Their whole game plan is, I got to save as much money as I can and live on it. That's a terrible strategy because it puts you in a really difficult place because you don't know how long you're going to live. You don't know what inflation is going to do to your expenses. And the amount of financial pressure it puts on seniors because they're watching their life savings just decline and decline and decline, and they don't believe there's any other path. And as they get older, they're worried perpetually. And so consequently, they are miserly with their money, and it puts them in a difficult place because they never can do anything. They can never go anywhere because they're petrified they're going to run out of money. Let me show you the math on what our typical client scenario is on the 401k. Let's say we're talking to someone that's 40 years old. So they're going to retire in 25 years. That's the goal at 65. Their monthly expenses are $6,500. Now, this is everything. This is, their rent or house payment, insurance, car payments, fuel, food, you name it. This is everything that they spend per month. They're saving about $400 a month. The average person in this country saves zero. 200 to 400 is the people that are in the 80 percentile of savings. They have $20,000 in their retirement account. Inflation in this country has averaged about 3% a year for the past 100 years. Right now, it's much higher than that this year since the kind of the bounce back from COVID. But 3% is the general average historically. And let's say you average a net return of 4.5%. And here's why I say net, because you have to pay your money managers or your financial planners in that. And generally speaking, their average charge is about 1.5% on the money you have invested, which means you have to average 6% to net 4.5%. And most people I talk to, when I look at their statements that they have in their money in the 401k, they don't average 4.5%. And here's why. There's two key reasons. Number one is they're paying the money management fees. But here's number two, is their money is diversified over generally 3 to 4 different levels, from like 10% being like an aggressive growth, and then they get more conservative. And then when you average all these accounts and you have fixed income in there at 1% and all that, you're lucky if you get 4.5%. But here's what this translates to over that 25-year period. They're going to have $282,000 saved in their life savings. Now, one of the big mistakes most people make as they're watching their life savings go up in their 401k or IRA is they think all that money's their money, but it's not. A big chunk of it is the state of California and the federal government. Now, you can see here we've done a tax allocation of 30%. It might be a little less than that. It might be more than that. It just depends on kind of what income bracket you're in and where you are as far as your total asset picture. Here's your adjusted life savings. This is the money you're actually going to be able to pull out to live on. Look where your expenses are going to be with inflation. Take your expenses today, and in 22 to 23 years, you can double it. That's what inflation tracks. So if your monthly expenses are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000, 12,000, and you're in your 40s, you might as well double it. Here's what this leaves. Years of retirement, 1.21 years. The income, monthly income on their life savings, only $1,000 a month. You can see here's where their life save, or here's what their monthly expenses will be. They have a $12,000 a month shortage. Now, if you deduct Social Security, let's say you have a married couple and they both get $2,000 a month, now you're down to $8,500 a month. Now, if you need $8,500 a month to live on, how much income do you have to have? Well, you might as well figure at least another $3,000 in income taxes to cover that shortage. This is the kind of shortage, and this is why I say the 401k and IRA have been such a huge failure. People can't save anywhere near this amount. Here's a way that we reverse engineer this, meaning that if your monthly expenses at time of retirement are going to be $13,000 a month, and you're getting 4.5% net return on your money, you need to have $1.2 million saved, which means you need to be saving $4,000 a month. What percentage of the middle class Americans do you think are saving $4,000 a month? Virtually none. They can't. I mean, their take-home pay they're lucky if that's their take-home pay. The only people saving $4,000 a month are the people in the upper income category, which is in that top 10 to 15%. Here are the major flaws of the 401k or IRA. Number one is the income taxes. In California, we're in a high tax state, and the taxes are about to go up, and they're going to go up significantly. There's capital gains taxes, there's income taxes, for on the federal level. And as I said, California, your tax in California go all the way up to 14%. You add the federal, you could be looking at as much as 48 to 50% of your tax if you're in the highest bracket. So the tax levels. So when you're saving all this money, it's not all your money. So when you're pulling out, a big chunk goes to the government. Next is it provides no income along the way. So in your 30s, 40s, and even 50s, it does not help you. It's your money. It's sitting there, but it's locked up. And you cannot access this money, even the earnings, without paying the taxes and penalties on your money. Next is its linear wealth growth, meaning you only make money on your money. And you're never going to get rich. And I have a little presentation to show you the difference between linear wealth growth and how to grow your wealth exponentially. And you're losing the inflation battle. Inflation is growing so much more rapidly than you're able to save money. So what's the fastest and safest path to wealth? 65% of Americans rely on stocks through their 401k or IRA to build wealth. Less than 10% rely on real estate. And yet real estate will grow your wealth and retirement income at 3 times the speed of stocks. Now, I know you're looking at that going, how can that be true? Well, I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to show you how radically different and superior the wealth growth is through real estate, through your home and through real estate in general, than stocks and every other investment class. Here's the first analysis. As you can see, it's called the utility value of real estate. And here's what that means. When you put your money in stocks, you only get stock certificates. You basically get paper, and you cannot use that paper for anything. But when you put your money in real estate, if you buy a home, you own the land and you own the structure. So you have this tangible asset that either you can use or you can sell that usage, and we call that rent. But here's the point. You have this incredible value, which creates income for you that no other asset class has, and it's called the utility value. Now let's show you what this utility value means if you're a renter. Let's say you have $60,000 and you put this into your, it's in your 401k or it's in the stock market. So you get $60,000 worth of stock. And you get a net return of 8%, which means you'd have to be averaging 9.5%. And I'm talking over a 30-year period. That just is unheard of, especially over 30 years. But what I'm doing is I'm slanting the deck in favor of the stock market. But you're renting, you're paying $3,000 a month in rents. Rents go up 4% a year. Now, California statewide, the average rent increase is 4%. Southern California, particularly LA, Orange County, it's more like 5.5%. In 30 years, you can see that $60,000 would have grown by tenfold to $603,000, which any financial planner or investment banker would be really happy with that. But the renter would have paid over $2 million in rent because they don't have, there's no utility value to stocks. So they would have to pay for the housing factor of over $2 million. Their net loss, see, renters are losing money every single day and they don't know it. Their net loss is $1,415,000. Now let's compare that to where someone uses the same $60,000, puts 10% down on a $600,000 property. The property value only goes up 5% a year. And I say only because California appreciation has averaged 7.3%. dating back to 1968. So that's like 53, 54 years now. That's an incredible time at 7.3. Last year, Inland Empire was up 22%. LA was up about 14 to 15%. Orange County was like 12%. We're only using 5. So here's your monthly expenses for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. In 30 years, the property value is over $2.5 million, 4 times greater than what it would be in the stock market. And this is only at 5% appreciation rate. Your total expenses on the property would have been $1.1 million, basically about half what rent would be. Here's expenses for like maintenance and carpet and paint and those kinds of things. And your net gain is $1.3 million, $1,314,000. Versus the net loss because of the lack of the utility value in stocks. Add the two together, it's a $2.7 million difference because of the utility value. Now, if you're a homeowner and you were to turn your property into a rental, now you're collecting $3,000 a month in rent that you cannot get from stocks because of the utility value. And you can see over 30 years, you would have collected over $2 million in income. Now, we've really pumped up the expenses by putting a vacancy factor in there, by also putting a property management factor in there, and larger expenses for repairs. You see a net gain of $3 million versus $603,000 in the stock market. That's the same $60,000. It's 5 times greater in wealth. Now you have to look at this and ask the question, how is it possible that 65% of the people are vested entirely in the stock market and less than 10% are invested in real estate? How is that possible? And the obvious answer is because they just simply don't know any better. All right, there are 5 economic benefits to real estate. We're going to play a brief presentation where I'm going to outline these 5 economic benefits. And for those of you who've seen this before, the reason you're not going to see me do it is because we don't have the poker chips. All right, we did a presentation away from the office, and they're in our other office. So in any case, we're going to play the presentation right now for you so you can see the 5 economic benefits, because this is the second major reason why real estate blows away the stock market and every other investment class.
All right, here we go. So let's move the microphone over to the, as far as close as you can get it over there.
Next, I want to share with you how to grow your wealth exponentially. The reason that real estate wealth growth blows away the stock market, as I said before, is because of the 5 economic benefits. But let me explain this to you and show you in a presentation of the exponential wealth growth caused by these 5 economic benefits, as opposed to the linear wealth growth of saving money in the bank or the stock market. So let's say you have $1. So the red chip represents your money. You put $1 in the bank. Now, as you know, interest rates are incredibly low. The interest return on money in the bank is like next to nothing. It's next to 0. But let's say for simplicity, you get 1%. So $1 in the bank, and let's say you got 1% would be 1 cent. You're not even going to get that. This is your return. Now, this is what's called linear wealth growth, meaning a straight line. Here are the problems with this. There are 3 significant problems. First problem is that the return is so low, it's just, like I said, it's even less than 1%. That's the first problem. Here's the second problem, is the reality is you're actually losing money because you're not making money to keep enough money to keep up with inflation. If inflation is running 2.5%, 3%, and you're getting less than 1%, you're actually going backwards. But here's the third problem and why I created this presentation. It is the biggest problem, and it is the monumental blind side that most people have because they have no awareness. And remember I said you don't know what you don't know? Let me show you what you don't know. It's linear wealth growth, meaning you're only growing money on your money. And you're going it alone and you're saving money. Now, let me give you another example of that. Let's say you put $1 into your retirement account. And let's say you get 8%. So $1, 8%. Way better than the bank. But it still has the huge problem of linear wealth growth. You're only making money on your money and the money that you save. You know, when I do these consumer presentations, and we'll have a hotel room full of people, and I ask them this question. How many of you believe people are getting wealthy through a 401k or IRA saving this way? How many people do you think raise their hand? No one. They know they're not going to get wealthy. This is at best a band-aid for survival. We don't want to. You want to do what the wealthy do, and the wealthy do what I call exponential wealth growth, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You put $1, so same as these scenarios, and you buy a $10 property. So 10% down. Here's your $1. We get borrowed $9 for banks. Here's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So 10% down, $9 in the bank. This is the leverage factor. So here's what's awesome about this to get started. First off, you bought a $10 property. So what do you think you're going to make more money on, a $10 asset or a $1 asset? Well, it's pretty obvious, right? That's the first thing that's off. Second thing is that would you loan somebody 90% of the money to buy a property and get 0 ownership, 0 partnership in the property? No, I wouldn't do it either. But that's what banks do every single day. They will loan you 90, 95, 97%, in some cases 100%, and they don't own any of the property. You'll own 100% of it. They just have a contract where they're going to make some interest on the money, which in today's world isn't very much. Now, this is the first economic benefit of leverage. Now, we're going to use 8% in the stock market versus 5% in real estate. So we're slanting the deck in favor of the stock market. Stock market getting 8%, real estate's only going to get a 5% return, not the 7.3. So 5% of $1, 5% of $1 is 5 cents. 5% of $10 is 50 cents. So let me show you what that looks like. There's 10,
Yep, there's 10. 20. 30. 40. And 50. Now, we've only covered 2 economic benefits. Leverage, which is the bank's money, and appreciation. And we've already blown away the stock market or your 401k. It's not even close. There are 3 more economic benefits. Now, I showed you those other 3 benefits. If you were here live, I'd give you a free book if you could name one of the other ones. So here's the next one. Tax benefits, the tax write-offs on real estate. Significant tax advantages. When you see the difference in tax advantage that real estate has over your 401k, it will blow your mind what it means in dollars and cents. Third is principal reduction. Every time you make a payment, a big percentage of it, and right now it's about 35%, 33, 35%, depending on the rate, and growing every time the rate comes down. But as the years go by, the percentage of principal reduction is rising, and if you keep the loan over the life of the loan, the interest rates are so low that the percentage of your payment that's principal reduction is actually more than half. And here's number 5, rental cash flow. Now here's what's so significant about rental cash flows. I showed you in that chart, rents basically go sideways or up. They almost never go down. And so you have this nice stable income, and that's what you need, especially at time of retirement. But here's the other factor. Remember we talked about the utility value. Here's where real estate is so different from every other asset class. The reality is what you've done here is you have a business. Investing in stocks, you don't have a business. You're, at best, this passive investor where you have this just insignificant percentage in stock ownership in this company. When you have real estate, whether it's, let's say you take your home and you were to turn that into a rental. Here's the reality is you have a business. Just like a hotel. A hotel is a business, right? What do hotels do? They rent bedrooms and ballrooms. So if you have a property, you buy a home, you turn it into a rental, now you're basically in the hotel business and you're renting bedrooms and bathrooms and that. But here's the benefit of being a business. You have these tax benefits. Being a business, you can borrow money. So you can use the asset and you can borrow this money. And so now you're creating all these advantages, and here's the biggest advantage. You have a customer. Who's the customer? We call them a tenant or a renter. They're paying you rent. You take their money that you're collecting and you pay off your loan. I'll say it again. Their money pays off your loan. So if you were to borrow 90% of the money to buy an asset and get somebody else to pay off your loan, didn't this money become free? There's no other way to secure free money than real estate. How much free money do you think you should secure in your lifetime? Well, the obvious answer is as much as possible. The more free money you secure in learning these wealth growth principles, the faster you're going to become wealthy and be able to retire or just live the life that you want to live.
All right, let's get into this. All right, here's this is the next slide, right?
So let me go back.
Okay.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, I talked about real estate versus stocks. We did an analysis over the last 5 years. What's done better, real estate or stocks? Now, remember I said before, 65% are in the stock market. Less than 10% in real estate. That's $60,000 over the last 5 years. So this is 2016. This is April of 2016 to April of 2021. Southern California real estate has averaged appreciating 9.7% over the past 5 years. The stock market, 14%. So $60,000 on a $600,000 property. 5 years later is worth $953,000. The $60,000 has grown into $404,000. 60 turned into 404 on autopilot without saving any money. the compounded rate of return is 48%. And that's because of the 5 economic benefits. Now, same $60,000 in the stock market gets you $60,000 worth of stock. There's no 5 economic benefits. Let's say you get the 14%. Your total return, meaning total profit, is $60,000, generated $57,000. $57,000 versus $404. In the real estate, that's 9 times more profit. I mean, it's closer to 8. Let's call it 8. 8 times more profit. You can see the net return. Why would so many people be in the stock category? And the answer is because they simply don't know any better. All right, let's get to the next slide. All right, I know what you're thinking. Didn't real estate values collapse just like the stock market? Now, we all remember the financial meltdown of 2008, 2009. And as Serena mentioned, it was very predictable. Well, I was not the only one. I'm sure maybe you saw that movie, The Big Short. It was very predictable. And you could actually make money if you knew how to position for it. But in any case, real estate is the safest investment you can make. It's the safest path to wealth, and here's why, and you might want to write this down. Real estate's the only asset, the only one that operates on 2 separate supply and demand components. So here's what this means. This is a website that you can go to called the departmentofnumbers.com. And you can see on here the U.S. median gross rent at the top, California median gross rent. Over the 1-year period, 4.33% for the entire state. The 3-year average, 12%. As I said, LA and Orange County are more like 5.5%. But here's the important element. What I want you to do is look at the year 2008. This starts in 2005, and this is showing, basically a 15-year run. Now, the blue line, as you can see, is the median level, and the green is the average of the rent growth. Now, there's another website called uscensus.gov that goes back to about 1942. Here's the point: is look at the stability of the rent growth. This tracks like this all the way back to the 1940s. And the reason is people just keep moving to California, and particularly Southern California. Name one stock that has that kind of stability for 80 years. Doesn't exist. I mean, when I look back to the companies that were the biggest companies in the country, when I was getting out of high school, Sears was the #1 retailer. They're gone. IBM was the #1 technology company. They're like a mom and pop shop compared to Apple and these other companies. Now, here's why real estate's the safest investment. Look at 2008. Let's say you had $1 million. You're retired. You have $1 million in the stock market. Stock market collapses. Your $1 million is now $500,000. What do you think happened to your retirement income? Got cut in half. But let's say you have $1 million fourplex. 4 units, $1,500 a month. That's $6,000. Now, the real estate market, the demand to buy real estate collapsed just like the demand to buy stocks. But what happened to the demand to rent? The demand to rent, or the rental income, is detached from the asset value. And all these people that were either walking away from their house because their house was upside down, or they lost their job and they couldn't afford it, became renters. So demand actually went up. This is why real estate the safest investment, because your wealth, your financial security is tied to the income stability. So the question I have for you is, what do you think the chances are in your lifetime that we're going to experience another financial meltdown? I mean, these things just happen. People, investors get greedy, and they do dumb things. And, right now we have a country that is in massive debt and growing. And at some point it's going to happen. All right, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I know a lot of homeowners that aren't wealthy and can't retire. And that is true because they don't know how to position themselves. We have a program for seniors on how to retire without saving money. Is there a formula to wealth? And the answer is absolutely. residential real estate isn't like stocks or any other because it does not go out of business. You can have a retirement income plan that you can understand and rely on. And here's what I mean by rely on. We can forecast rental income growth with a level of accuracy that you cannot do with any other asset class. There are two components to building rental income. One is retiring your debt, meaning paying off the mortgage. We can forecast the retirement of a mortgage with 100% accuracy on a 30-year fixed rate loan. We know exactly when that thing's going to go away. And we can forecast rental growth with an incredible level of accuracy because we have an 80-year track record. There is a significant housing shortage in California, and people just keep moving here from all over the world. This is why we can position you where you have safe income that is forecastable. And you can have tax-free retirement income now. You put all your money in your 401k, it does not help you today. And then when you finally get to a place when you're 60 years old, you can start accessing, you have to pay all this income tax. You can create, if you're a homeowner right now, you can create tax-free income. Now, I need to say, here's my disclaimer, I'm not a CPA, so you want to talk to your CPA. But in our consultations, we will show you how you can create the average middle-class homeowner can create $15,000 to $20,000 of tax-free income and get it today and improve your life today. Here are the 5 critical questions that we all need the answers to. Number 1 is how much will your expenses be at the time of your retirement? So this is key to how old you are. Where are you 30, 40, 50 years old? How old are you? What's your timeline? So this is basically an inflation analysis. Number 2 is how much money will you have saved at the time of retirement after the taxes, meaning after the government takes their share and the state of California takes their share. Next, how long will that money last? Have you done that analysis? Very few people ever do that analysis because they don't want to know, because they know it's not going to be very good and they just rather live blind. And number 4, how much wealth and non-employment income can you create in your life? What is possible? This we can analyze and is very forecastable. And number 5 is how will you protect your assets from a major recession or lawsuit? You ever notice how the super wealthy never go broke? Well, here's why. They have trust fund babies and they have legacy wealth. Because there are legal steps that you can take. CPAs know a lot of this, and there are real estate attorneys and estate attorneys that you can work with. And in fact, I've just recently redone my whole estate plan. And I mean, these things are expensive, but we can help you with a lot of that and connect you with different attorneys if you have a pretty good amount of. Well, if you own real estate, you need to be moving in this direction and have the legal documents done. All right, what is possible for your life? We have wealth building strategies that provide wealth and tax-free retirement income now without the struggle of saving money. So I want you to think about this. If you didn't have to save money, now let me qualify that by saying, look, I'm not saying saving money is a bad thing. Saving money is a good thing because it shows financial discipline, and if you can do it, great. But most people, like 80%, cannot. And if you don't need to save money, if you're struggling to save $500 or $1,000 a month and you're worried about your 401k growing, what if we just eliminated that and we said, look, let's get you a viable solution where you don't have to struggle to save that $500, $1,000 a month, and you can keep that money right now to improve your quality of life, to help you with your family today, and then get you on a plan to create supplemental tax-free income today. Isn't that a way better way to go? It's absolutely a way better way to go. And nobody's teaching this stuff. I learned this stuff not through financial planners because they don't know this stuff. And the residential real estate world, they're not trained in this. That's why I created the Mark I Real Estate Wealth Academy, is to train agents and to elevate and create a higher level of agent, which is we call the real estate wealth advisor. All right, do you know when you can retire? most people have no idea. They're on the save and hope strategy. When you meet with one of our real estate wealth advisors, we will prepare a custom wealth and retirement plan without the need to save money. Now, if you can save, great, but it's not necessary. And we can show you a timeline, and depending on where you are, as far as do you rent right now, do you own it, and what are your goals, we can show you a timeline that is very forecastable. So I know what you're thinking, all right, is how much is this going to cost me? Our consultations are free. You can go on our website, mark1wealthacademy.com, to schedule an appointment. Now, here's why they're free. Here's where we make our money. Is our real estate wealth advisors are licensed as real estate agents and loan officers. When we do the consultations, we'll do this analysis and we'll show you different strategies based on where you are, and we will make our money if and when you decide to take action and execute a transaction. Here's our client information sheet, which is on our website. It's basic information. This will take you 5 or 10 minutes to fill out. 90% of this information you know in your head, which is your contact information. Do you own or rent? If you own, what do you owe? What's your house worth? And how much cash or assets do you have, like in a 401k or IRA or saved in the bank? To recap, here are the 3 financial questions that have driven my financial life. One is, what is the fastest and safest path to wealth? It's undeniably real estate, and it's not even close. Number 2, is there a formula to wealth that I can follow? You can see this in our testimonials. When we get done with the consultations, you will understand what to do and when to do it and how to do it. It's a plan that you can understand and you can follow. And what is possible is so beyond your dreams. But here's the big challenge. And we all have this challenge in life pretty much every day, is the struggle of fear and doubt. Is we all have that voice in our head that's saying, your life's never going to change. It can change. I've made this journey. I'm going to show you this path. There's zero risk and there's zero cost. I titled my book, Why the Rich Stay Rich and the Poor Stay Poor, because here's what I've learned, coming from basically ground zero, is the number one challenge we all deal with is belief. 90% of the people never change their life circumstance. Poor stay poor, middle class stay middle class, and rich stay rich, all for the same reason, what they believe. Number 2 is know-how. You need to know what to do. We can guide you through this process. And then number 3, you got to take action. I mean, a great plan is useless if you don't take action, right? So what do you believe is possible for your life? This is my favorite verse in the Bible. According to your faith, be it unto you. And here's why it's my favorite verse. It's basically saying, according to what you believe will come to pass. And that is true in every category. What people believe is what their life becomes. Your consultation is absolutely free. We'll show you where mark1wealthacademy.com, what the website looks like right now. So let's go ahead and pull up the website. And if you have any questions, you can put them in right now. But I'm going to show you our website. And we have some free financial tools that you can use on there. And you can see, here's our website. You can see on where it's under resources. Let's go to the retirement calculators. Here are some calculators that you can play around with. We have our you see retire today, future retirement calculator, and our rent increase. But let's just show them real quick the future retirement calculator, how this works. Is, let's say you're 45 years old, so we're going to do a 20-year timeline. And let's say your expenses are $6,000 a month. And let's say you're saving $500 and you have $100,000 in your retirement account. Inflation about 3% and a 4.5% net return. Here's what your timeline is. In 20 years, you're going to have $439,000 in your retirement account. Here's what inflation is going to do to your expenses. And you can see you'll run out of money in a little less than 3.5 years. Here's your monthly retirement income as far as earnings. your expenses after inflation, and your shortage of $91.88 a month. You know, the other item, let's show them the rent calculator. Here's why I put this in here is our rent. This is a basic compound calculator. See where it says rent increase. People have a real hard time grasping and kind of just wrapping their mind around the impact of inflation compounding. But I like to use this scenario. When I moved out of my parents' house, I was splitting a $315 a month rent bill with a high school friend. And let's go ahead and use the 5% number. This is 44 years ago. That's about what that place is renting for today. I mean, it's amazing. Now, someone would have told me that back then, I wouldn't believe it. But let's take that $26.95. All right, let's take that and put that on the top. And let's do 20. Let's keep the 5%. Just do 20 years. So if you're renting today and you're 45 years old, in 20 years, look where rents are going to be. How do you retire in that scenario? This is why I say renting is a financial disaster. Renting is the single biggest mistake. It's the worst financial decision you can possibly make. Is there any question, anything we need to address? All right. So we're going to wrap up here. If you want to get into a free online consultation, you don't have to come in even. You know, we can do these online consultations, and we will take where your current situation is, analyze it. Oh, by the way, I just remembered something. So we're going to start something new in a couple weeks. We're going to do live, online. We're going to have a live show, and we'll do live online consultations, and I'll show you. We're going to drill down into these different wealth strategies starting in 2 weeks from tomorrow, and we'll do them from 6 to 7 p.m. on Thursday nights. We'll do them on Facebook Live, and we'll also you're going to use our GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar platform as well. And we're going to bring in investors. We're going to bring in some of our clients. We're going to show you how we've helped to guide them through this process. The worst thing you can do is nothing. What you've learned today is the tip of the iceberg. The next step is to really analyze where you are today. Are you a renter? Are you a homeowner? How old are you? How much are you able to save? What have you saved? Where are you at? And look at that and then say, let's identify a plan so you can find out what's possible. But I can tell you, on average, you know, our clients, 90% of our clients are middle-class Americans. They're right in that middle sector that we talked about, that, you know, that 50 to 90 percentile category. They're able to create $10,000 to $15,000 a month in retirement income and create a net worth of $2 to $3 million through real estate without ever saving any money. Never going to happen in a 401k or an IRA. And what's the other thing that's beautiful is, wouldn't you love to have an extra $500 or $1,000 a month of tax-free income right now? Instead of having to save $500 or $1,000 every single month and having that burden, is put yourself in a place. If you're a homeowner, we can put you in that place where you can create an extra $500,000 a month tax-free income. Most of the homeowners are easily can achieve that objective. But all of this is knowledge. And this is why I encourage you. You have to take action, and you have to spend the time to analyze your situation. I'm Mark Prather, founder of the Mark One Real Estate Wealth Academy. If you have any questions, reach out to us, and hopefully we'll be talking soon, and we'll do an online consultation for you. Anything else in there? All right, everyone. Have a great evening, and hopefully we'll be chatting with you soon.
Good night, everyone.